In this brief tutorial, I want to show you how to create a character poster, or what I call a character poster, making use of Excel. So with that, let me go ahead and show you what you're going to need. You're going to need a picture of yourself. You also need a spreadsheet program, and in this case I'm going to use Microsoft Excel 2013, although some of the older versions of Microsoft Excel will also work, and some other spreadsheet programs will also work, but the directions I'm going to give here are specific to Microsoft Excel 2013. You also need a printer. If you have access to a color printer, that would be optional, but you can print it in black and white. And then you also need some tape, and I'm going to recommend Scotch or invisible tape. If you have access to a laminator, a large format laminator, then that would also be helpful, but it's not necessarily required. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Here are the steps. You're going to insert your image, add the name, add the word that you've chosen and the definition that goes with that word, customize the poster, print it, assemble it, and if you have access to it, laminate the poster. So with that in mind, you're going to insert your image as the first step. So you'll want to pick an image that actually has good resolution and actually really works well for a poster. You're going to add the name of the person, in this case you. You have to appear in the poster, so it has to be a picture of you. And then you're going to add the word or the characteristic that you've chosen to describe yourself. Most of the time this is going to be an adjective, and it should describe some aspect of your character, not anything about your physical appearance. Then you're going to go through and add the definition, making use of a website that's authoritative in nature, such as Merriam-Webster.com or Dictionary.com. And then you're all going to go ahead and customize the poster. A lot of times after people get everything, all the nuts and bolts onto the poster, they basically want to go through and make it so that it really fits them. So you'll do that in step 5 of the customize. Once you've got it all done, then you want to print it. This poster will actually be making a 2x2 or a 4-page poster, and so you should actually have a total of 4 pages that print out when you're done. Once you're done, then I'll show you how to assemble it here on the screen, and then if you have access to it, you can go through and laminate the poster, which will help to keep it nice and permanent over time. So with that, let me go ahead and get started by pulling up Microsoft Excel. I'm just going to click on a blank workbook to start out. I'm going to go through and start by inserting my image. I've already pre-selected an image, so I'm going to go to Insert and Illustrations and Pictures. Choose my image and insert it. There's my image that's been inserted. And so you can see that there's my image. Now the very first thing you really want to do is you want to find out how big is your image based on the size of paper that Microsoft Excel uses in a standard blank workbook. To do that, in Microsoft Excel 2013, I'm going to go to File, and Print. But I don't want to print, I just simply want to see how big the page is. Here you can see my image actually covers part of the first page, and if I go to page 2, it also covers part of the second page. By simply coming up to the back button in Excel, I can go back and I want to zoom out so I can see how many pages it covered. I'm going to go to View, Zoom, and choose 25%, which seems to work most for people. Now you can see that I've zoomed out from being so close to the picture, and you can see that there are dashed lines that represent the pages that I might actually be printing on. You can also see that the pages are portrait in nature, so they're taller than they are wide. You can see my picture is actually wider than it is tall. I want my picture to cover all 4 pages, or a 2x2 poster. Now I could do that by simply clicking on the handle on the bottom right and dragging so it covers 2 pages, and then clicking on the very bottom handle and dragging so it covers 4 pages. Now while this may seem like it's pretty easy to do, it doesn't really do a good job or justice to the image. It disproportionalizes the picture. I'm going to click Undo and Undo. So rather than do that, something I need to do is I need to go ahead and change how my picture is oriented, or change the paper's orientation. To do that, I can go to Page Layout, Orientation, and click Landscape. Now that the pages are better oriented toward my picture, if I grab the right hand bottom corner handle and pull slowly, I can actually scale it to cover more of those 4 pages proportionally. I can further change the amount of space in which I'm going to print on by changing the margins from normal to narrow. So I have still more space that I can actually print on, making my poster bigger. In some cases, you might actually be able to pull on the bottom handle and make it so that it doesn't look too disproportional, but in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it. Now that I've got my image on there, I want to go ahead and add the name. That would be the next step. And I'm going to do this by way of using word art. Inside Microsoft Excel 2013, I'm going to go to the Insert tab, Text, and choose Word Art. Select a style, position the text, and type in my text. If you want your text to be larger, and in most cases for a poster you will, you'll need to go back to the Home and select a larger font size. If you select a larger font size and it's still not nearly as large as you'd like, you can always click in the actual numbers box next to the font and select a larger size. Then hit Enter. So there's my name. Now I need to go through and add the word. Now the word I've chosen for this particular characteristic is the word curious. So I'm going to go to an authoritative source to look up the word curious. Here I'm at dictionary.com, and I'm going to look up the word curious. And I typically want to try and find the adjective part of the definition, and one that actually goes really well with the actual poster. Here you can see the first definition actually seems to work really well. Eager to learn or know, inquisitive. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this by using Control-C on my keyboard after highlighting it, and then go back to my poster. Now I want to insert the definition using a text box. So I'm going to go to Insert, Text, and Text Box. Draw a box, right-click in the box, and select Paste. Now you can see my definition is there, but the problem seems to be that the definition really is too small. So I need to go through and make the definition larger, visibly, easier to see. I'll select my font, and then select the number, and select something larger. That makes sense. Typically the definition will be smaller than the name. There's my definition. And I also want to add that the part of speech is an adjective. There we go. Make that slightly larger. And now I need to go through and add the actual word. I have the actual name and I have the word, but I don't have the definition or the actual word there. So I still need to do another insert, text, and I'll do word art for this. And the word we had was curious. So I'll go ahead and put curious in there. And there's my word curious. And now I get to the place where I get to go through and do some customization. The customization is really up to you, but there's a lot of things you can do with some of the tools inside of Microsoft Excel that allow you to really kind of customize and make this look the way you want it to. And I'll pause now and do that. Right, now I've gone through and done some customization, including adding some things that have to do with some of the drawing shapes, changing the font slightly, and doing some other kind of embellishments. Now I need to go through and print it. To do that, we're simply going to go to File, click on Print, and you'll see the print preview. And the nice thing about Excel, and one of the reasons why we use Excel, or at least a spreadsheet program to do this, is because it takes the content that you have on the spreadsheet and does just exactly what a spreadsheet program does. It spreads or allows you to spread the content out over several pages. We'll eventually make use of this function so that we can put the content all together. Now let's go on to the next steps of assembling your thing, your poster, after you've actually gotten it printed. Once you've actually printed your poster, then the next step is to go through and assemble it. You're going to have 4 pages, all of them with margins, and if you've chosen, narrow margins. You'll need to cut one side or one set of sides. Let me show you what I mean by this. You'll have 4 pages that each have a set of different margins, and you'll need to go through and select specific sides to remove. Now in some cases, some people will remove all the margins, and you can do this, but it makes it more difficult for assembling. I'm going to select to cut off these 2 sides and these 2 sides. This would be the right hand margin of the green and the dark orange side, and the bottom margin of the green and the blue page. Once I've used either scissors or a paper cutter to cut them off, then I can go through and actually assemble them, making use of the extra margins to overlap the content, and then taping them. Here I'll show you how this works. The blue part goes behind the green sheet, and in this case the orange goes behind the dark orange sheet. And again, because I've actually cut the bottom margin off the green and the blue sheet, I can actually pull up the dark orange and the orange sheet so it underlaps or goes underneath the other one. Then I can go through and you can see that I have a full poster ready to go. This would be the exact same thing you would do with your poster, and this will take a little bit of time. You can also make use of the things that are on the poster to help further line things up. Once you've actually gotten your poster done, then the next step is to go through and simply laminate it. You're going to do a 4-page poster or a 2x2, and most 2x2 posters will fit in a standard laminator. The approximate width of a normal laminator, that's a large size, is 25 inches. So this will actually take approximately 3 sheets that are 8.5 by 11 wide. I have actually done 3x3 or 9-page posters this way before and worked out successfully very well. So, having known this, you can actually do this kind of character poster to create character posters of your own inside of a school or inside of your classroom to go along with your students. You can also use this kind of procedure to create classroom rules or unit projects. You can use it simply for classroom decoration, or you can also use it for timelines that are extensive in nature. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me, and I can help you through and understand how to do this better.